I work at VisitLEX, which is the local convention and visitors bureau for Lexington, also known as the marketing agency for the city. We try to get people to come to Lexington to visit for leisure, but also for meetings, conventions, conferences, et cetera. We are quasi-governmental, which means that we are not the government, but we have a commission that is appointed by the mayor, so we're a standalone organization that has to follow government auditing rules, and it's all really fun stuff that I don't have to deal with personally, thankfully. And then we are 97% funded by the occupancy tax in Fayette County, so if you've ever stayed in a hotel, motel, short-term rental in Fayette County, you have helped pay my salary, so thank you so much. And according to state law, these funds have to be used for convention and tourist activities because tourism is a big economic impact in Kentucky. This is VisitLEX's mission. We market and sell Lexington's bluegrass region by driving economic impact through tourism and meetings to enhance the quality of life for Lexingtonians. You will see the quality of life for Lexingtonians come up several times tonight because that's really my main purpose. Talking about economic impact, I have to talk about the economic impact of tourism because even my friends like to make fun of me for having a really fun job that's all just planning parties. But tourism is a $1 billion industry in Fayette County alone. Every year the state does an economic impact study, and last year in 2024, Fayette County had $1.7 billion in economic impact through tourism. That's $131 million in state and local taxes, almost 12,000 jobs in Fayette County, and it's 12% of Kentucky's total tourism impact. If we look at the region, the bluegrass region as a whole, which VisitLEX does help promote, it's even bigger. I didn't put those numbers down, but you can see this on our website all the time, but this is just, again, how tourism impacts Lexington. You can see those jobs, the impact, the tax revenue, how much money we save the local household, how many people have come into the visitor center last year, and then all of those hotels by the number. You can kind of see how much hotels cost, what our occupancy rate is, all the kind of stuff that's really important to what we do, but maybe not as interesting to residents. Another really big important thing that VisitLEX does is we work with a PR firm in New York to get journalists to come here and to write stories about Lexington. So if you've seen Lexington get national news or in Condé Nast or in Travel and Leisure or on the Today Show, VisitLEX was behind that. This is from our resident sentiment survey. We do this every other year, and I hope that you have taken it, and if not, watch out for emails from me in September 2026 because I will be sending it out and hope that all of you participate. But we ask questions about how residents are feeling about tourism, just to get a gauge on are residents happy with the tourism industry? What do we need to change? What do we need to keep going? So here I just pulled 2 snippets. I care about the success of the tourism industry in Lexington. 82% of you said yes. It's awesome. And then the bottom one, this is a question that's asked across all resident sentiment surveys across the country. And so you can see the comparison between Lexington, our region, which is the South, and then the US in general. And so tourism is important to my local economy. 80% of Lexingtonians agree with that statement, which is much higher than the South and the US norm. So we get it. Just a little background about VisitLEX and how we promote Lexington. We have what we call brand pillars. We are, at the end of the day, a marketing organization. So we have our 3 icons. These are our most notable and recognizable features. These are what people come to Lexington for. Bourbon, horses, landscape. I'm sure all of you could have guessed that off the top of your head. We always say people come for the horses and the bourbon and they stay for everything else. So at the bottom, you'll see what we call unexpectedly cool. We are run by Gen Xers and millennials, so we're unexpectedly cool too. So these are what make Lexington an unexpectedly cool destination. They might not be what drives people to come here, but it's why people keep coming back and why people have a great time when they're here. So our outdoors, our arts and entertainment, our food scene, we get that constantly. The history, the sports, the shopping. So this is one of the challenges that VisitLEX faces all the time. When people think of traveling to Kentucky, they think of Louisville because Louisville's our biggest city. So how do we solve for this? How do we get people to come here for leisure? How do we get people to host meetings here? The good news is when people think of Kentucky, they think of Lexington and the Bluegrass region. And so the goal is to raise awareness of Lexington as a fun, sustainable, accessible, inclusive leisure and meetings destination. These are a couple of our marketing campaigns that we've done recently. You will see landscape and horses and bourbon and everything. So this was something that we did in the spring. The average length of stay for visitors in Lexington is 2 nights. And we were like, hey, what if you do 3 nights, right? So we had this at the airport. We had this in magazines. We had this on social media. Basically, is you'll hate to go. The saddest view is the one when you're leaving the airplane. So you can kind of see some of that. It performed really well. And we made 3-day itineraries to keep you an extra day. And then I'm sure all of you saw this at some point, the 250 Come Home campaign. We've been really involved in the 250 Lex promotion and events. And we were kind of put in charge of June, which was Come Home Month, which is also one of Lexington's busiest tourism months. And so we, interviewed Mark Pope and Steve Zahn and had them do videos for us. And we had a lot of people come home and visit in June. So hope you guys enjoyed June. This is one of my favorite content series. It's the Best Kept Secrets, where we kind of tell visitors on our social media where locals like to go. This is a really successful series. People love it. It's been pretty game-changing for the businesses that we feature. So for example, I'm gonna pick on my friend Wyatt at Favor Kitchen. If you've not been to Favor Kitchen, you should. It's tucked behind Arcadium. We did a Best Kept Secrets video on his business, and he had to shut reservations down because people were reserving 8 months in advance, which we love. But also we were like, oh, were you good with that? Because, but we've seen a lot of really good interaction with that. Obviously, we did our visitor center, Lucy Brown's, Favor Kitchen, and we do more and more. So if you're not following us on social media, you should. It's a really good place to learn about all the cool local things happening. Okay, now I get to talk about what I really want to talk about, which is my job, which I'm really passionate about, and that's destination stewardship. Destination stewardship is kind of a new trend in the tourism world that came out of the COVID pandemic. No surprises, during 2020, tourism fell pretty drastically, and we realized that having one revenue source was pretty detrimental to the industry and to the city. Hotels were not doing well, restaurants weren't doing well, our attractions weren't doing well, and so this kind of came up out of COVID saying, okay, well, what do we do to protect our destinations in the future? And so that's kind of what destination stewardship is. It's collaborative, community-centered approach to tourism. It's a balance of visitor experiences with the resident quality of life. When we get journalists in town, when we get New York Times authors coming into town, they almost always say, oh, you guys are like Nashville 15 years ago. And we're like, oh no, because we don't want to be in Nashville in 15 years, right? Like that's what my job is to make sure that we do not become Nashville, because while Nashville's tourism budget is huge, their residents don't like visitors. Their city council doesn't like visitors. Their housing prices are off the charts, right? That's not good. We have to make sure that we take care of our residents, because our residents are our #1 clients. And so then at the bottom here, you can see the main pillars of stewardship. Sustainability, which is definitely environmental sustainability, but also social sustainability and economic sustainability. Accessibility, responsible and meaningful tourism, and then social inclusion and impact. And I'll go on into all of that. And then at the bottom, you can see the logo. This is all under the umbrella of this program that I run called Lex for Good. Okay, we wrote this guide a few months ago, and it was really popular and got written about in lots of spaces in tourism and other tourism offices reached out and they're like, how'd you do this? So I'm just gonna share it with you because I'm really proud of it. We wrote a how to visit Lexington responsibly. So number one, help us keep Lexington beautiful. Explore the region, but do it nicely. Don't leave stuff everywhere. Follow instructions and signage. It all seems common sense, but I've seen people litter at Raven Run, and my husband has had to hold me back from yelling. We also work closely with Parks and Recreation and keep Lexington beautiful. We do community cleanup days. We encourage visitors to participate in those as well. And number two is respect the environment. Do your part to preserve the Bluegrass region's natural beauty. Again, landscape is one of our icons, one of the main reasons why people come here, so we have to protect it. Make sure to pack out what you packed in. This is leave no trace. Recycle what you can. We do a lot of work with our hospitality partners, so they all understand what is recyclable locally, and that just because it says it's recyclable does not mean that it is in Lexington. And dispose of trash in receptacles. Stay on the trails, don't disturb the landscape, et cetera, et cetera. And I also had to throw in the drink Kentucky's tap water because it's some of the best in the world, in the country. I don't know the world, best in the country. Don't touch the wildlife. Also, again, seems common sense. You're probably not going to run after a raccoon. But we do see people pulling over on Paris Pike and trying to pet horses. Please don't do this, visitors. Those are very expensive animals, and they are not yours. Photos are fine if you have a safe place to pull over, but please don't touch them. So again, respect the wildlife. Drink responsibly. This is very important because obviously we're a very bourbon heavy destination. We also have amazing craft beer, and so we say, hey, we know that this is a great place to drink. Please do it responsibly. Have a designated driver. We have Uber, we have Lyft. Again, common sense, but we don't want to become Nashville. Slow down and travel mindfully. This is one of my favorites. Lexington might be a city, but the best way to enjoy it is slowly. Stroll through one of our parks, nature preserves, trails, neighborhoods. Eat and drink locally. We have amazing local restaurants, amazing local bars. Shop at a locally owned store for your souvenirs. Our locals love visitors, and we want to keep it that way. So don't be ratchet. Eat local, again, one of my favorites. I love to eat. Kentucky is the greatest ingredient. I'm trademarking that in our culinary scene. So find local restaurants who not only employ locally, but also get their fruits, veggies, dairy, meat from Kentucky farms as well. We have a program called Kentucky Grown Ingredients, where we've worked with the Kentucky Department of Agriculture to get a list of our local restaurants who spend money directly with Kentucky farms. So you can see that on our website. We're also starting a content series. So look out in late October for our first content series that's going to feature Stella's Kentucky Deli in Burgoo. And then finally, be kind. Visiting the Bluegrass region is meant for everyone. We're a front porch kind of city. We say that all the time. We're a front porch kind of city, and that means everyone belongs here. You can see the list of no one should miss out on a trip to Lexington because of. Everybody is welcome and everybody belongs. So sustainability. This is one of the projects that I've been working on. I say quietly for about 3 years and loudly for 2. The sustainable travel market is expected to grow by almost $335 billion, with the B, by 2027. That's globally, but the kids care about the environment. I'm not a kid anymore, but I do also care about the environment. So 77% of travelers under the age of 35 says that sustainability impacts their travel decisions. That's huge, because even though Lexington right now is still who we see the most are people 50 and up, eventually people grow up. And if they care about the sustainability and the environment when they're young, they are more likely to continue to care about it as they get older. 69% of travelers want the money they spend when traveling to go back into the local economy. So what that means is they want to go and buy a souvenir at a local shop. They don't necessarily want to go to Hard Rock Cafe. And then 51% of travelers feel that there aren't enough sustainable travel options available. I don't disagree, but we're going to change that. So here are some of the things that we do at VisitLEX that we've been doing under our sustainability pillar. We have a sustainable tourism business certification. You can see the logo for it down there. It's called VisitLEX. We love things that end in Lex. I don't know if you can tell. We've got almost 25 businesses who have filled out a form that asks about waste management, energy efficiency, native planting, and water. We contract with a local environmental nonprofit, Bluegrass Green Source, and they run this program for us. And so it's not me being like, you're sustainable. It's like experts who know what they're talking about. We've got hotels, restaurants, bars, and attractions, which is really exciting. We have a food rescue plan. Wasted food is a huge problem in the meetings and convention space. Please take food home. We like to have more food. We don't want to run out of food. But then what do we do with all that food, right? So we developed a program with our friends over at Central Bank Center to donate leftover food to local nonprofits. Right now, it's the Hope Center and God's Pantry, and we're working on expanding it. Kentucky Grown Ingredients, which I kind of talked about already, just celebrating and highlighting local restaurants who spend money directly with Kentucky farms, because Kentucky is the best ingredient. You'll see that soon too. Cycling, that's something that's coming up next. Look in March for some new content on cycling in the bluegrass. All exciting stuff. And then outdoors. This outdoors pillar that was under the unexpectedly cool portion of our brand pillars is kind of being slurped up by sustainability because they really go hand in hand. Our outdoors have to remain there, number one, can't be developed, and they also have to remain beautiful and clean. And accessibility. I know this doesn't really talk about land use, but accessibility. 13% of Americans have a disability. That's a large amount of number, and that is similar to global numbers as well. Globally, travelers with disabilities represent a disposable income of $2.6 trillion. It's a lot of money. And people with disabilities usually travel with somebody. They don't usually travel alone, so that's even more economic impact. And then you can see at the bottom, in 2 years between 22 and 24, 25.6 million American adults with disabilities traveled. So these people aren't just staying at home because they are deaf or hard of hearing or because they're in a wheelchair. They're going out and they're going to places that can accommodate them. So we looked around a couple years ago and we're like, well, we need to start telling this story because our partners are doing stuff, but we're not telling the story very well. So here's some of the things that we do. This is at the Kentucky Horse Park. We had the best time at the Kentucky Horse Park. If you haven't been out to the Kentucky Horse Park recently, please go. It's one of my favorite places just to spend a day. Anyways, accessibility. Wheel the World. Wheel the World is a global organization. We've been with them for 2 years. When we first started meeting, they pitched Wheel the World as a mixture of Expedia and Tinder. So basically, if you have a disability and you want to travel, you sign up on Wheel the World and you put in all of the things that you need, all the accommodations that you would need, how big your wheelchair is, etc. And then it matches you to destinations and hotels and restaurants that fit what you need. It's amazing. We have 43 businesses in Lexington who are certified accessible with Wheel the World. We are also a Hidden Disability Sunflower Program community. So you can go to hidden disabilities, any disability that you can't look at a person and know. Alzheimer's, epilepsy, autism, anything, right? And it's basically just a way to let people know that you may need extra time or extra help, et cetera, and you wear a sunflower, most of the time a lanyard. So you can go and pick up a free lanyard at the Lexington Visitor Center. We are trained with how to interact with people who have hidden disabilities. And we also got some of our friends throughout the city to do it as well. So the Bluegrass Airport is also a Sunflower Program airport, which is amazing. Central Bank Center and Rep Arena and the Kentucky Horse Park. Sensory kits and mapping. We have free sensory kits available in the Visitor Center. We worked with the Autism Society of the Bluegrass to curate a little kit for people who may have autism, ADHD, sensory processing disorders. So they have Sunglasses, earplugs, a fidget toy, a fuzzy horse. There's one more thing in there. And a coloring book, sorry. And a coloring book. And you can get them for free and don't need to bring them back. They're just to help regulate people while they're here. They're for all ages 3 and up because the fidget toy should not be put in the mouth. And then we do sensory mapping. We're the first DMO, that's a destination marketing organization, in the country to provide sensory mapping. And sensory mapping is basically just where we take the blueprint of our attractions and we put sensory triggers and what you might experience when you go there. So for example, in our Lexington Visitor Center, you'll see the floor plan. We have a wall of bourbon snifters. There's a big old nose on our map because people might not like that. Or there's natural light. Or it's really crowded between these hours and it's going to be loud, right? Really cool stuff. We have 10 places, including Gatton Park. And we're really excited people use them. We get comments on them all the time about how helpful they are, which is really cool. Accessible meetings. We also have accessibility sensory kits for meetings. They don't have a coloring book, sadly, but people love them. We give out hundreds a year. And then finally, we do a lot of training and education with our partners. So when I say partners, I'm talking hotels, restaurants, bars, attractions, shops. Those are our main partners. We do a lot of training. I don't know if you've seen in the news recently that a local restaurant was fined pretty heavily for kicking out a person with a service animal. I have a service animal training document that I made sure to send back out to everybody. Just FYI, these are the questions you can and cannot ask. Please don't get back in the news. And that's it. Definitely the 3 icons that we talked about, the horses, the bourbon, and the landscape. What gets people here are the photos of our landscape and our farmland. And also one of the big benefits for Lexington is that we're a really good drive market. You can reach Lexington in a day's drive from about 2/3 of the country. We're a really good road trip destination. We got a lot of Canadian travelers coming down 75, going to Florida, stopping in Lexington for a few days. That's fine, enjoy. But we're a good drive market. Definitely overdevelopment, I think is definitely one of the top answers that we would agree. The farmland outside the urban service boundary, those are some of the iconic shots that people come here for. They visit, they want to see the bluegrass, they want to see the rolling hills, they want to see the horse farms, etc. There's lots of threats to tourism. Tariffs, the economy. Tariffs have really impacted the bourbon industry, which is hard for our distilleries because we say this all the time. Our bourbon and our horses, they are first and foremost working farms and working factories. And tourism is a secondary revenue stream. If you can't sell your bourbon, you're probably not going to want to invite visitors to the distillery. You might not be able to stay open. These small craft distilleries might not be able to stay open for a long time. So that's a huge threat. And also, travel trends change constantly. Politics is always a factor. If what our state and local government's doing, what our national government is doing is always a factor. And just the economy. If people don't have as much money to travel, they're probably not going to travel. There's a landing page, VisitLEX.com/Kentucky-grown ingredients. It's so hard to say what are some of the best, because that's like asking me my favorites. Favor is definitely one of them. Annie Weta Michael restaurant, she's maxed out on lifetime spending of how much money she can get back from the state on how much money she spends, her restaurants spend on farms. Some I think fun ones are like Athenian Grill that you might not think about. I'm trying to think what else. All my favorite restaurants. But yeah, visit our landing page. Stella's, Sage Rabbit. A lot of our local restaurants already are buying local ingredients. Dudley's, you can catch the chef at Dudley's Saturday mornings at the farmer's market to make his menu for Saturday night. That's kind of the stories that we want to tell with Kentucky-grown ingredients. So that's all. It's all good stuff. Yes, and there's some days when I look up from what I'm doing and like, how did I get here? Because I'm doing the weirdest things all the time. And you might see me pop up in lots of random places, like Living Streets and the Week Without Cars, like we're all doing that stuff. I'm working directly with the city and with UK on this cycling. Can we get public bikes back? We're working on that. Currently working on a shuttle system, basically bringing the trolley back for next year. So look for that in April, working on that. So yes, because that's all really important. We want to become less car dependent, and especially the cycling. We want to become a cycling destination. We have beautiful land to cycle, and so we're working on routes from downtown, not just in Lexington, the Legacy Trail, whatever, but like, how do you get from downtown to Buffalo Trace? You can cycle that. It's beautiful, and these are the things you're going to see along the way. So yes, definitely. We do advocate, but quietly, because we're quasi-governmental, so we help where we can.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, we've got one last question here. And this person asks, any ideas on how we make our farmland as accessible to residents as we do to visitors?
I guess we meaning horse farms?
Presumably, yeah.
Okay. Anybody can go on a horse farm tour. There's a really great organization in town called Visit Horse Country. They help get you on public or private tours at a number of horse farms, but also Hallway Feeds, who's one of our good friends. They have solar panels, which is amazing. Or the veterinary clinics. We've got Hagyard and we've got Root and Riddle. And so anybody can do that. And I think that they do like neighborhood days where it's discounted or cheaper. They always want people to come. There are cheap tours in the off season, so in January and February. And that's when baby horses are. So I would suggest booking a tour to Mill Ridge Farm in February because you'll see lots of baby horses.